it's October now, and I'm just going to do a little review about what I've read over the last month. So I've only actually finished one book, which was this one. It's Philip K. Dick, and it's his Minority Report and Other Short Stories, because a Minority Report is actually quite a short story. So there's a few in here in this book. I've read Philip K. Dick before. I read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? I think it's called. Which is the book that Blade Runner is set on. And that was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. He's just got like a really wild imagination. It's just like a really different version of Earth. And I really like all that. It's really, really interesting. So I wanted to read more of his stories. I haven't seen the film Minority Report, but yeah, I wanted to read this. So it was a really, really good story. It's sort of about somebody who's in a department of the police where they're kind of, I'm not sure what these people are supposed to be. I think they're supposed to be sort of like severely mentally disabled, but they can see into the future, and they're being used by the police in quite an immoral way, really, to get information about pre-crime, like crime where people are thinking about committing crimes, particularly murder. So in this world, there hasn't been a murder for however many number of years, because they can predict when it's going to happen, and they arrest the people before it happens, and incarcerate them and everything. This all starts to go wrong when the policeman who's in charge of it sees his name as one of the reports, and the reason it's called Minority Report is because there's 3 of these people who predict the future, and they take the majority report of them. So if 2 out of 3 of them say that the murder's going to be committed, then they take that as the majority report. And this whole thing is about whether the minority report, which is the 1 out of the 3, is correct or not. And eventually, actually, the majority report is shown to be correct. But it's a really good story. There's a lot of sort of psychological thoughts about how the mind works and how crime works, and if you know you're going to commit a crime, is that going to change whether you commit the crime, and things like that. There's also elements of like state control, because it's quite a sort of state controlled world, and the army are trying to like push in for more control and push the police out and have more control. So it's really, really good. It's really well written, held my interest in things. There's lots of sort of themes of the Cold War, because these are all written, when are they written, like 70s, 80s? So you've got those sort of Cold War themes, Russia, communism, state control, and they sort of run through a lot of the stories, and spies and espionage, and whether you can trust, what seems to be presented in front of you. There's a lot of that. There's also a lot of like off-planet interaction. There's always a lot of like a community on another planet, or planets, or life forms coming in from other planets. There's always that sort of that world, which is it's really interesting, and it's interesting because he has sort of similar. It's almost like he's got this whole world, and he's just picking stories out of it, but the world is kind of its own thing. It's interesting. So that was Minority Report. That was good. There was quite a few stories in there. Some of the ones I particularly liked was The Impostor, which is where a man is accused of being there's intelligence to say that he's been replaced with a replacement that's a robot and is going to detonate. So they're trying to get him off the planet and away, and he's trying to prove his innocence, that he's not a robot, he is himself. So that's really good. That was a good story. The story Second Variety was like a seriously creepy story. It's kind of in a post-nuclear war world where there's this war that's happened with Russia, and everything's everything's sort of a wasteland. And the Americans have basically won by developing these really lethal robot things, like with all these blades that just kill human. They're designed to kill flesh, and the reason that they don't kill the Americans is because they have a kind of, I can't think what it was now, but like a kind of chemical or like nuclear, whatever, way of kind of disabling them, and which the Russians don't have. So that's the only reason that the Americans don't get destroyed by them. But basically, the robots have developed their own way of over getting around the disabling technique, and also of making themselves look like humans. And there's like, it's really creepy because they are trying to get into the army camps by pretending to be like an injured soldier or a lost child, and then once they're in there, they become this killing robot. It's really creepy, but it was really good as well. And War Game was sort of about an off-planet community that they've previously has made war weapons and things, but they're now at peace with them. Like Earth is at peace with them. This company is now making toys, so this toy department has to check them and make sure that, you know, there's nothing that's going to that's dangerous or is going to infiltrate their children or anything like that. That was really good, and some really interesting ideas in there as well. It's very good. There's loads of he's just got a really fertile imagination. It's really interesting. Oh, to be a blowball or a blobble, I'm not really sure how you're going to pronounce that, but that's like got to be one of the funniest stories I've ever read. It was so funny. It was absolutely brilliant. Just really enjoyed it. I just laughed so much reading that. So basically, there's been like a war between Earth and an off-planet community where they're all sort of blobs on this other planet. So some people in the army have gone through procedures and things to be able to imitate them like a blob, and then after the war they can't get rid of it completely, so they have times when they revert back to being a blobble or blobble, I'm not sure how you meant to pronounce it, and this ex soldier, he's really depressed and miserable because he hates these blob people, and he has to spend a certain number of hours of his day reverting to them, and a therapist is trying to helps him find a wife who she helps him build a business, but he's always miserable, he's always moaning, and it's so funny because every time he gets really angry or stressed, he turns back into the blob. It's really funny. And then also in there is the story We Can Remember It For You Wholesale, which I think is supposed to be what the film Total Recall is based on, but I haven't seen the film, so I don't know. But that was a really good story again. This is where a company can implant memories into your mind. So this man, he's bored with his life. It's just a sort of really mundane everyday life. So he wants a story implanted in there that he was a secret agent, and he did these trips to wherever, I can't remember now, it's a while ago I read it, to Moon or something, and the company can do all of that and give him little memories of it. Anyway, it doesn't work out well. Basically, he's had those experiences in real life and has had his sort of like memory wiped and things like that, and as a whole, it's really good. They're really well written stories in terms of, probably not the best written in terms of sort of language and deep character development, but in terms of imagination and just story, they're really, really good. And they had lots of twists in the stories. In fact, there were so many sort of different twists that once you've read a few, you're kind of expecting it. You're like waiting for the thing that's going to throw it all out, and they were usually really good and funny. So yeah, overall thoughts, I really enjoyed reading the book. I definitely read more of his stories. They're really entertaining. I really enjoy them. So the book that I'm reading now, so the reason I've only read that one book is the book I'm reading now is like a proper fuck off big book. This is The 7 Pillars of Wisdom by T.E. Lawrence, who is better known as Lawrence of Arabia. And that's going very well. I'll give a proper review of that next month. I'm about halfway through it now, so I'm hoping I should be finished by next month. Yeah, a lot of my time has also been taken up learning songs to Sweeney Todd the musical, because I'm actually in a local production of that, which I'm very, very excited about. they've let me join in the ensemble, which has been just the most fun. So that's also been taking up a lot of my headspace and my time. Yeah, I did a video, I think it was like a couple of years ago now, when I was reading a Seth book all about sort of alternate realities and other lives that you've had and things. And I did a little short like monologue and saying that I hadn't done anything like that for a lot of years, and it was a real sort of personal challenge to myself to see what it was like doing something like that again. And now this is obviously doing it with other people, and it's just been so much fun. Really, really enjoyed it. So I've had that going on, and learning lots of songs, which has been, yeah, really fun. So I'll be back next month when I'm hoping I will have finished the 7 Pillars of Wisdom and give a proper review of that. Okay, thank you.